Okay. Yes, hopefully at some point you don't have to need the first aid. I'm slightly worried that we'd be so shocking.
I was anticipating.
I'm sure you have. So for those of you that don't know me, I am Sway. Some of you know me as Sway Grantham, some of you know me as Sway Humphreys. I live two lives, it's a crazy world. And I'm a primary school teacher. I currently still teach, and I was there yesterday, and I have brought along some digital leaders with me from my class and the other classes around who are going to do a bit of a talk for you after my bit. We're from Milton Keynes, and I am the lead teacher for computing in my school. I don't teach it across all the year groups, I'm just in charge of it. So I help the other teachers to teach it from foundation, your 4-year-olds, all the way up to 11-year-olds in our school. I'm also a specialist leader in education for computing and ICT in Milton Keynes, so that means I also go out to other schools locally and help primary schools. I'm sure some of you are aware the curriculum has changed this year. We've gone to computing instead of ICT. So there's been a lot of support work going on with other schools that don't have anyone with those expertise in their school, helping them out and easing them into the transition, really. My journey with the Raspberry Pi, I was doing some research recently, began in 2012, August 2012, which doesn't seem like as long ago as it is. And I went to the Raspberry Jam in Milton Keynes, where it was originally, and I just wondered what it was all about. I didn't really know anything about it, and I went along and I saw all of these people doing amazing things that I couldn't do at all. I just didn't know how to do it, I didn't know what it was, but I was interested. So I started going every month and finding out what they did. I'm not going to go too much into my journey, because this is ours, and this is our schools, and how we got involved with that, but obviously my having an interest had a big part in getting that started. So, round about 2013, September 2013, I went to my school and I said, I want to get some Raspberry Pis for our school. And they said, oh, we're not sure, it's a very new technology, we're not sure what you could do with it in school, and we're not sure anyone else would use it other than you, and therefore it's not worth our investment at this point. I can understand that entirely. And so I sort of went with it. I introduced the children to mine, I showed them bits and pieces, but we didn't do much at that point. And then in Christmas 2013, the foundation did a competition. You see the picture, that was our Christmas competition, to do an hour of code, and in exchange for the hour of code, you could win some Raspberry Pis. So having 32 loyal children who went with what I said, we had a go. We hadn't done anything like it at all at the time. So we used a Code Club resource where they could follow the instructions. They found it quite difficult. I didn't really know how I was teaching it. It was very experimental, but we all had a go. And if you are in a school, or your children are in schools and they're saying the same thing, they're not sure about getting started with Pis, look out for the competitions that the foundation run, because it's a really, really good way just to get a few in and start showing off what you can do with them. We received 5 Pis, including House Pis, SD cards, cases. However, our school doesn't have an ICT suite, so we didn't have monitors, keyboards, mice, or any of the other bits that we needed. But like other people have already said this morning, I took to Twitter and I tweeted out and I said, I need some monitors, is anyone getting rid of any? And I think by the weekend someone had even dropped them off at my school. I didn't even have to go and pick them up. And we had 8 monitors appear. We found some keyboards and mice lying around from olden days, if you like. And we got what I thought was everything we needed, and we were ready to go. Wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with them, to be honest. I knew I wanted them in school, I knew they were a great teaching resource, but I didn't really have a plan for what I was going to do with them. About now, for anyone that doesn't already know me, it's probably a time to talk to you about my teaching style. The way I teach, I don't admit to know everything, or actually sometimes anything about a subject. And some teachers find that very difficult, to say to their children, I have no idea what you're talking about, I'm sorry, but tell me and then hopefully I'll learn and then we can look it up together. But that's a really, really important thing for me, because it means that when I'm in the classroom and I'm trying these new things, I don't have to know what we're going to do with it. We just figure it out together, and we learn together. And it's a really important thing to teach the children, in my opinion. They might disagree with you when you hear what they've got to say later. One of my sort of most used phrases is, who comes to my house and tells me how to use it? No one does. I have to have a go. I go online, I ask other people, we have a go, we figure it out. So, yeah, you'll probably hear some of them talk about how terrible I am at just leaving them to it and seeing how it goes, but it's never done them any harm. So we were ready, had a go. I ran an ICT club at the time, children from year 4 to year 6, and they'd already seen my Raspberry Pi, they'd heard about them, so we thought, why not give it a go? At this point, I hadn't even opened the box. I just had the box that had arrived. So I just put it on the floor, and in groups, they started opening it and telling me what was in there. As I say, I thought at this point I had everything that I needed, and they went through. You also got an edition of Magpie, and you got a user manual that told you what some of the ports were, which was really useful for them. So they spent the whole club looking through it, and we got to the very end and they started putting it together. That's when I realised we didn't have any adapters. So we couldn't connect our monitors to our Raspberry Pis because I didn't have a VGA to HDMI adapter. So I said this to the children, I was very honest. I said, I haven't got that bit that we need to make these two things connect together. This doesn't go in here. And they were very understanding about it. But in fact, some of them still said it was the best session they'd had at Raspberry Pi, ICT Club. We haven't really done anything. But they'd explored something that they'd never heard of before. They'd taken it apart. I'd not said, firstly, don't do this. Don't worry about, don't plug it in. Don't go near this. Don't break this. I just said, go and see what it does. See what you can make it happen. So I had an idea that in our foundation stage classroom, they have one monitor that is a newer monitor, so it had a HDMI connection. So we traipsed everyone down to the club once we'd got tied up, went down there, and I thought, right, we'll plug it in here quickly. We were late, so the parents were waiting very patiently and lovely at the door, got it all plugged in quickly, turned it on, nothing happened. So now this is twice where the children have had their faith in me, and they've watched, and nothing happened. Luckily, the magic of restarting, which obviously fixed every problem with a computer, turned it off, turned it back on again, and it came on. And seeing that Raspberry Pi desktop for the first time was just, that's all they wanted. We didn't have to do anything with it. It was just like, oh, she's not lied to me. It is a computer. That looks like something I recognise. I've got it turned on and I've got it working. And that was a real important moment for me, because I think, personally, that's the time that our school started to get hooked on Raspberry Pis. You've got to remember, this is only children from year 4 to year 6. There's only a selection of, I think there was about 20 of them. So it's a very small percentage of our school. But word started to spread incredibly quick. So this is sort of coming around to about February last year. And children were actually now coming up to me in the corridor and saying to me, I've heard about this thing. Apparently, it's called something like Cherry Pie, is that right? Close, Raspberry Pi, yeah, and they were asking me what it is. Could I see one? Oh, if I come at break time, can I just come and have a look at one? And you sort of hand it over and they're sort of mesmerised and then put it back and they go outside. And it really started snowballing from there. Again, we entered more competitions. We got some Pibrellas, some Pi Glows, and we started exploring what we actually would do with this in school. We were hooked, we were excited. How could we prove to everyone else in our school that it was something really worthwhile doing? Now, digital leaders. If you haven't heard of digital leaders, I could do a whole hour talk on digital leaders, so I'm not going to go into details, but please come and find me, come and talk to me, and we can go into that. But basically, they are a group of children who are enthusiastic about technology. They don't have to be particularly gifted in it, they just have to want to learn. They have an official application process, they have to go through an interview, and eventually we choose a selection of children from year 5 and year 6 who can become my digital leaders. They have to be willing to learn things by themselves. I don't have time in my teaching day to train them. They come at lunch times and I say, go and figure out what this does. And they take something, they Google it, they have a look, they plug it in, see what happens, and then they come back and they say, oh, I really like this, this was too difficult, I didn't understand what I was doing. And from there I adapt what we're doing. They've done everything for me, from just tidying up wires and cables and things that needed sorting out, to leading staff meetings and teaching our teachers and showing our teachers what they could do, to showing off to other schools what we do and showcasing what we're doing in our school, today, to talking for our school, on Saturday as well, to leading clubs and teaching other children. Now, they are going to go into the majority of what they do, so I'm not going to talk too much about all of that, but they are a real asset to me. And if you have schools, if it's your school, if it's your child's school, that are finding it difficult getting teachers to be able to teach the computing curriculum, trying new things, get digital leaders, because they're a weight off your mind. There are a group of children in my school that I can say, go and help that teacher, and the teacher can go, there's just wires and I don't know what to do, and they can get it sorted, and it makes a huge, huge difference. So these guys from last year then spent their time learning about Pis, having a go on them, telling me what worked, what they understood, and particularly the primary. At this stage, I was still being told that Raspberry Pis were not for primary school children. They're too small. We always hear how little they are. They don't believe that at all. Okay? I didn't believe them, but we had a go and we tried stuff out. Now we're coming to the summer, hence the sun. And we knew as a school that was the direction we wanted to go in. There was such a buzz around getting a new computing curriculum. I'm hearing all over the news that schools are terrified, and our school was really excited to get going. But we did need the money to buy things. We did need to make that investment, particularly as we didn't have monitors. And this is where our school friends, our PTA, came in really, really useful, because they supported us and they were willing to raise the money with their fates and discos and events to allow us to buy 2 class sets of Raspberry Pis, one between 2. So we have 34 Pis in school that we can use to teach 2 classes at the same time, everything that we want to teach about computing. So, sort of from the summer onwards, we were so excited, the children were really excited. Some of them were so excited that we put a video together for them. Now, I'm not going to show you the whole video, but this is a small part that one of my digital leaders made, showing themselves doing a bit of Minecraft programming to say thank you to our school friends.
Adie's Minecraft Pi explanation. Minecraft Pi is a game, but when you play, you can make it more fun and interesting. One of the things I've tried is making the characters say hello world. But for this video, the HDMI Pis you gave us, I decided to make the character, also known as Steve, say thank you friends. You do this by using the same software I did with the Pi explanation. I typed in several lines of code and finally got Steve to say thank you. Thank you friends, by pressing run or Ctrl+S. But on my first try, I accidentally started one and wrote thank you feeds. Thank you for listening and goodbye. By Adie.
As you can tell, it's entirely the children's work. It is very fast-paced. They like talking quickly. But they were just so pleased to be given the opportunity and being allowed to have a go at these Raspberry Pis, to be excited about something, and to have something new. Schools are notoriously behind industry because of the investment value. That we have to wait until iPads have been out 10 years before we can get them into school, or until the newest computers are there. So to be able to be a little bit ahead of the game was something really, really special for them. Now, so we've now come to about September this year, and the computing curriculum was officially started. We were ready to go, and we started teaching it, using it, getting on board. Around about November time, I sent some more of my digital leaders to go and ask some children how it was going, what they thought about it. And there's a little video, it's only a minute long, of what they thought about computing in our school.
What is the difference between ICT and computing?
In ICT, we just learn how to use programs like Word or PowerPoint, but in computing, we learn what makes a computer and how a computer works.
Computing teaches us about computers, and we get to use computers, but in ICT, we only use computers.
Is computing an important subject to do?
Computing is an important subject to learn because most jobs here are computer related, and if you don't know how a computer works, you might suppose it's really more complicated.
An important subject to teach because if the kids don't know how computers work, they won't know how to use them properly.
What's your favourite thing to use during computing lessons?
Raspberry Pis!
Raspberry Pis! Raspberry Pis!
Raspberry Pis!
Raspberry Pis! Raspberry Pis!
You get the idea. So I promise I didn't bribe any of them to say that. They were just really, really excited about getting involved, getting hands-on, and as I say, these guys are going to talk to you a bit more about what they did. If you are a primary school teacher or you want to get your primary school on board, please do come and talk to me. I've got lots of suggestions for things that we did, and I do have a blog and I am on Twitter, so if you want to go there and have a look, get in touch with me, there really is a lot of help out there now. Loads of people have had a go, shared what worked, shared what didn't. Less so for primary, but it is becoming much more so, particularly as children's skills grow as they're coming through with the new computing curriculum. People have already talked about the huge community that there are. I mean, all these people that are here today who have given up their Saturday to share with you and to get involved in things. It's a brilliant community who I go to when I have problems and don't know how to fix things. They're always there, they're always on Twitter. As well as that, High Academy, which I know has been talked about already several times today. It's a great value resource that you can go, you apply to go, and you can learn about and see what's going on, and then you become a Raspberry Pi certified educator, and you join a community of other educators that you can work with, develop resources with, and progress from there. Now, as I've said, to finish our session, we have got these digital leaders. It is entirely their own work. I know, again, I would always say that, but it really is, and they've worked really hard at it. On you come, guys.
Hello, I'm Craig, I'm 9. Hello, I'm Noreen, I'm 9. Hello, I'm Harry and I'm 10. Hello, and I'm Erin and I'm also 10. We are here to present you our presentation, I Am Primary. We put a lot of time and effort into this and we hope you enjoy it. Let's get to it. The first time I heard about Raspberry Pi, I thought that they were sending brownies and cubs and scouts around for selling Raspberry Pi to your doorstep for fundraising. And then when there was more thought about it and I knew it would be a computer, I thought that it would have a mouse, keyboard and everything connected to it. So you wouldn't, not credit card size, you wouldn't have to plug everything in. And then the first time I ever saw it, I said to myself, that is not a computer.
The first time I saw a Raspberry Pi, I was really excited. I already liked programming and I wanted to learn more. It sounded like an extension of what we had done in class. When we first saw it, everyone said, hey, these aren't computers. Computers are big and they have screens.
When I was using a Pi for the first time, I was excited because it was something new and I'd never used it before. It was also quite scary because we were put into groups without help and we were left. It was also fun because it was something new to try. The things I liked about using the Raspberry Pi was that you could learn new things and it was clear on what you were doing. When I used the Pi for the first time, I have to admit I was nervous and it was very new to me, but we had already been told by Mrs. Humphries that we would be using something called a Raspberry Pi, but I didn't really know what to expect. And as Erin had just said, it was literally put in front of us, set up, and Mrs. Humphries just said, have a go, see what it does. And the reason it was new to me is because I'd never seen it. I'd already heard about it, yes, but I thought it was just going to be like a normal computer, like a PC or like a desktop computer. But I was wrong, and it was very new to me. I was very enthusiastic about doing it because I'd already loved computers, although I wasn't very good at them. And one of the things I liked about it is the fact that it is very fast loading and serves a good purpose in learning. When have the Raspberry Pis been used for in lessons? Well, the Raspberry Pis have firstly been used for in computing, obviously, because that's really the only subject that we use them in. One of the reasons is that you can see inside them, so all the circuit boards aren't hidden like they are on iPads and laptops. It's a new subject in UK, yes. Is it better than ICT then? Yes, because in ICT, before we just learned how to use a computer like in PowerPoint. But computing is nothing like that, and it gives you extra opportunities for people who take coding as a job path.
The Raspberry Pis have been useful in computing because it is new things to learn about, and it will make the computing lessons more interesting because children won't just be learning about the computers we see every day. They're also useful in other subjects like maths for programming games and Sonic Pi for music. From programming lessons to learning about computers, which admittedly isn't far, they're amazing. They offer a huge range of difficulty on the programming applications. Scratch for lower down the school, Sonic Pi for halfway up, and Python for years 5 and 6. I think all schools should have them.
Well, as Harry, I've got to admit, I have to agree with Harry on this one, because we do run a club for 7 to 9-year-olds, but we'll get onto that later as we get started that. We do teach them how to use Raspberry Pis, and this week we have taught them how to use HDMI Pis, and once they've been told what to do, they can easily use them as HDMI Pis are basically Raspberry Pis but in a tablet form. I say my honest opinion that yes, other primary schools should have Raspberry Pis because it makes lessons more fun because you have to build them to use them. Then you have to type in various lines of code to get them to do the thing you actually want to do them. So they make lessons more fun and easier to do. So other primary schools should have Raspberry Pis.
I also agree with Craig that other primary schools should use Raspberry Pis because it's fun and easy to use once you've got the hang of logging on. You can also learn new things quickly because you're interested in what you're doing and you're more likely to work hard at it. And you can also use them new things you've learned confidently.
Just before Christmas, we ran a session with what is the Raspberry Pi thing anyway. For parents, as lots of children are asking for Christmas. The company did a brief introduction to approximately 80 children and parents. Then we had stations showing us Scratch, Umbrella, plugging everything in, Sonic Pi, Pi Globe, and the Etiquette 2 set. We tried to let all the parents have a go. It was quite scary because it was the newest displays doing it, but we worked hard, everyone had fun. We hope the parents learn things that were great for our time, and I think the displays learn things too.
The first extension I used for the Raspberry Pi was the 7 seconds of Pi. I followed some instructions to make a countdown in, where you had to press the button before the time ran out. It was fun, it showed me about the Pi, but it didn't teach me much about programming. I was just following instructions and I didn't understand what I was doing. I did learn, however, that just because you can follow instructions doesn't mean you know what you're doing. Then I moved on to Umbrella. It can work with Python, but I used it with Scratch. It attaches to the general purpose input-output pins, or GPIO pins, and sits on top of the Pi like an umbrella, hence Umbrella. It has 3 multicolored lights, 8 white lights, a buzzer and a button. Mrs. Humphreys gave me the Pi umbrella, and 2 pictures of scratch blocks that I had to make and left. The Pi umbrella is very cool because it can add another dimension to your script. Once I made a quiz game and it would flash red or green depending on your answer.
After what is this Raspberry Pi thing anyway, we mentioned. Me and Laurie did the Etiquette 2 set. It was a lot of fun. Connecting the pins and other members to the breadboard and GPIO pins was very fun but a bit frustrating. In the sense, it was easy but hard. But there was a tiny little problem. I'll let Laurie explain. Well, yes, we did have a tiny little problem. That tiny little problem was we had the incorrect paper. So we were following the wrong instructions, so the pins would not be compatible with each other and nothing would work. But in the end, Mrs. H got the right piece of paper, and luckily I think it was the night before, afternoon before, what is this Raspberry Pi thing? Anyway, we got it working, and me and Craig, we were both very happy that we were finished with it, and we were very frustrated when we heard that we had the wrong paper as well.
My first extension was Pyglow, and I worked with a friend. It was challenging at times, but we got through it. When it was working, it would flash the colours red, blue, yellow, orange, white and green, as bright as you wanted them. Me and my friend also did the What Is This Raspberry Pi thing anyway.
Three of us here today run a Raspberry Pi Club for 20 Year 3 and 4 children, as I've said earlier. It's very fun teaching them what to do and how to use the Raspberry Pis, and I think the three of us here definitely will agree with me that it will affect their lives in good ways.
When we run that club for year 3 and 4s, it's very useful for both sides in the lesson. We learn about teaching and extend our knowledge of the workings of pies, and they learn about new and exciting things. At the risk of sounding cheesy, it's a win-win.
Sometimes people think it would be good to have a club of teachers and parents, but they're always too busy. I'm looking forward to using Pyglow in the future because it seems pretty cool how it all works. From my friend's tutorial, it seems really quick and easy to use. And because I'm not very good at coding things, it would be good to start me learning a lot of new coding.
I'm looking forward to improving my Python. Part of this will be controlling Minecraft and exploring what I can do with that. Improving my Ruby in Sonic Pi, using the Pyglow and EduKit 2. Although I have had a lot of fun using the Pis for 2 years, there is still so much more I can learn.
Thank you very much for listening to our presentation. We hope you enjoyed it. Any questions?
Does anyone have any questions that they wanted to ask, either them or me, whoever?
Yeah, I have a question actually. I'm a head teacher at a primary school. I thought you guys did absolutely fabulously. Really, really did well. The teacher was okay as well. But I've got a question, and you're really passionate and really enthusiastic about it. What's the best thing that you've used the Pi for? And perhaps each of you would like a chance to answer that.
Well, I would say the EduKit 2 set because it's fun to use, but then hard to use. So it would be my favourite thing using on the Pi. Well, I'd say along the same lines with Craig, but I would say the EduKit Census Kit, as in technically the EduKit 2 and Census Kit, the same thing, and really the same reason as Craig.
My favourite thing is Python. I like coding, and you can also use the add-ons like the Pyglow with Python.
Mine is probably Pyglow because we did the What Is This Raspberry Pi thing anyway, and we got to teach parents as well as teach us.
Thank you very much.
Can you tell me a bit more about the HDMI Pi?
There's not really much to say.
What is it? So you guys know what it is because you've had them. Okay, imagine people that have never seen or heard them and now go.
It's a Raspberry Pi connected to a monitor in one thing. So if you look at one, it's a tablet. If you turn it over, you can see Raspberry Pi, the monitor, circuit board, and all the inputs that you'll plug into the Pi.
So you can still see what the Pi does, but you've got like the screen with it as well.
So you don't need to buy a monitor as well to plug everything in. You will still need a mouse, keyboard, and a speaker.
Brilliant, thank you.
So one of the things you talk about is that the way they're teaching computers in school is like PowerPoint. Is that too easy for you? And Raspberry Pi is more interesting, more challenging, you can do more in it. Is that sort of right?
I wouldn't say they're too easy, but Raspberry Pis have more things you can do.
Okay.
Once you've learned,
Do you mean more variety?
yeah, well, once you've learned how to use Word or PowerPoint, there's not much more you can do with it.
I have a question for you. So lots of people say to me that text-based programming, so like what you're doing with children of your age and that it should just be a secondary school thing, what do you say to people like that?
That they are very incorrect.
I'm going to use that in all my presentations. People are very incorrect.
For what is this right pie thing, me and Laurie actually had to get 2 kits. But we had to do it in the afternoons as well because we had it 3 days in advance. That's it. So when some people give it to us, say sit outside and follow the instructions. We follow the instructions and then read it through and see what it does. So Python isn't really that hard.
That was even, I think, the idea that I just left you to it, didn't I? So I was teaching in my classroom because I have 32 children that I teach every day, and these guys were trying to prepare for the event that they're talking about. So they just got given it and took it outside, and you did it all by yourselves.
And with Python and Sonic Pi, once you've got the main bits of code, like the if statements, the prints, and then you know how to, you can do a lot more with it.